All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Coffee Room with John. I got a new microphone over here. We're going to try something out today. Hopefully you all can hear me okay. But yeah, I'm a little late. I'm sorry for being so late, but sometimes you get on a heater and shit happens, right? We had a 53 roller this morning in the daily paycheck. It's funny. I went out there this morning and like every day when I go out there, I'm thinking to myself, let me just put a pass line bet out there. We'll let that bet resolve. I'll see where my throw is. If I feel like I'm, whatever, I'll go out and do my thing. We actually hit a point right away. And I was throwing and I was, somebody said, what's your dice set? Like, I don't think my dice set matters that much, but, for informational purposes, I used my stacked ones like I almost always do. And all I'm looking at with that thing is like, if I'm throwing it and if I'm seeing ones and sixes in abundance, I know that the dice are kind of spinning right. And that's really all I can ever hope to see. And today they were. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go out and do my YOLO early. After about 10 rolls in, I went out and did my daily paycheck YOLO and they were still doing okay. I made my paycheck and I'm like, what the hell? Let's go 125 across and just have some fun. And 40 something rolls later, we were still playing and I'm late for the show. So I'm sorry for being late, but I'm late for a good reason. It was fun to be out there and have a hot shooter like that, man. It was great. Unfortunately, on that roll, there was so many horn numbers. I think out of the 53 rolls, probably 20 of them were horn numbers. It was ridiculous number of ace deuces and 11s today. Tons of horns, not a lot of money on those because I don't really play the hops, you know me. But I know some people in our Crapsy did. So if you want to play along in that show, join me. We do Crapsy every day now in the paycheck. So come on in. The water's fine at 7:00 in the morning. Some days it's 3 PSOs in a row. Some days it's 53, right? Make a paycheck with me. So we are doing all right with the paycheck. I'll give you some stats here in a second. But as far as news and notes go for us, trip around the table again, it's going to be this Sunday. It'll be a crapless Crapsy session for sure. And I'll see you then for sure. And I think next week, I'm hoping, cross fingers, that Jeff and Dylan and I can talk again this week and get Craps Chat re-kicked off again next week. I've also started some talks with some other people, just so you know. Obviously, this channel has been mostly me doing this show and a couple of other random live things, like the Arnell does the live fantasy craps and whatever else. But I'm trying to get some more people looped in. I've reached out to the people or the guy that runs the All on Black channel, which is what Duracell was hooking me up to. He's a roulette guy. He does a daily paycheck on live roulette. He does it with some online casino. So he does what I do, but with real money because he can do it live. I would totally, I would totally do that. If I had access to a live casino, I would do the daily paycheck on the live casino starting with the penny bets just to see. But anyway, I'm talking to him about maybe joining us and doing his paycheck live with us here as a way to kind of grow the channel a little bit into other games. Jack Ace also is part of that mix too, as far as doing some roulette teaching through this channel. And I've also reached out to the guys at Gamble Smart. I haven't heard back from them yet, but Gamble Smart's a channel that they do mostly slots. And a lot like me, they do I think every other day or once, whatever their rhythm is. They do a morning show just like this one, where they get kind of on a Zoom call and they just talk about Vegas and gambling and randomness and the MGM deal that's going down and a lot of news and notes kind of things, but they focus on slots. And I thought that'd be cool to kind of get them in the mix too. They got a pretty big audience. And I think if we can roll them into the fold, that's a lot more people to come to Craps for the Cure. Right. And I think that's kind of always my goal was to kind of push people at that. So I'm talking to them too. So just so you know, there's going to be hopefully some more faces on here besides just my ugly mug every day. So I'm really working hard at trying to expand our reach a little bit. So those are fun guys. And I don't know them as people yet, but we'll have some sessions with them and see what y'all think. All right, let's go to the daily paycheck recap here. And then it's nerd time. We're going to start our math stuff probably next week. So I'm going to give you a little preview today of what my plan is for the math stuff. But before that, let's see where we are. So the April profit and loss, 34.67. This is only for the paycheck piece, not for the excess piece. This is just for, does my strategy that I'm playing for the paycheck work? Okay. So far we won $3,400, which is great. We had 4 wins. Wins are about $860 or so each, roughly. We're doing the compounding thing. So Monday's buy-in was $4,000, right? We had to win 700. Today's buy-in was $4,500. We had to win 900, which we did. Now that we're at this new level, tomorrow's buy-in is going to be 5,000 and we have to win 1,000. So we're getting to where the compounding nature of like the bankroll growing because the wins are getting bigger, the bankroll's bigger, the buy-ins are bigger, the bets are bigger, the strategies are bigger. This is the idea of this show from the very beginning was, can I win 10%, 15% a day, every single day? And as we get more money in the bank, we can buy in for more and play more. In the early days, it takes a long time. When you're buying in for $1,000 and winning 100, it takes forever to get the bets to be big enough. What I do is I round up my buy-ins to the nearest 500. So you don't get a 1,500 buy-in, right, until you've won enough money for 10% of your goal of your master bankroll is 1,500. So you got to get to $15,000. You got to win 5,000 before you get your first jump. Took us 6 months to get there, right? Now we're here at bigger buy-ins, and I'm not changing how I play, right? I'm doing the Dallas Drawdown still, or I'll do the Red Cross, whatever I'm going to do. I'm not changing how I play. I'm just changing with how much I play it with every day. And the other change is that I'm not going to go in first roll. I'm going to play a little pass line, feel it out a little bit, talk to y'all, bullshit, have some coffee, and when I feel like I'm ready to go, then I'll start playing for reals. Then I switch to something, right? After that, like today, the goal is going to go 125 in the box. Even if I win $3,000 in the paycheck, 125 in the box. And we'll just let that 125 make nothing. Or like today, it made $2,500. We had a great roll today and we made good money with it. So I'm going to basically do a pass line bet, get a sense of how I'm doing today, go out there when I'm ready. If I get a paycheck, that's great. We'll finish out the day with 125 in the box. And I'll always give you, except for today, one more shooter for you to play with if you want to. Okay. How are we doing overall in the paycheck? Overall, I'm playing Dallas Drawdown, so it's highlighted in yellow. It's now 22-5. So it's over 80%, which is now we're on the other side of what you'd expect, right? We expect that to be about 80% or so, a little bit less. I think it's 70. I forget. 73% is I think what it should win, given the fact that you have to win across bets twice against the 7. So we're over where we should be, which means a loss is coming, right? At some point we're going to get corrected. We're going to get smacked around and lose one. But the fact that today's excess was $2,500 means a loss won't be soul crushing. We'll be back to where we were. Overall, we're up 20K. We have 30,000 and change in the bank right now in the master bankroll. And hopefully we can ride that into the bankroll build being complete, have our 100K, and then it's going to be from 100K, we're going to make $500 a day forever. That's going to be my goal. That show will never go away. Trey, to a Paradise saying, John, Procraft cover and keep rolling. I'm going to keep rolling, man. That's the point. And I'm hoping to get other guys in. Like I said, I want to get a roulette guy to do a daily paycheck. I'd love to do it with Baccarat and Blackjack and have like 4-hour shows back to back with people making daily paychecks. Or trying to anyway. It'd be really cool to have that as part of our shtick. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. There's the recap. Again, good roll today. Not going to happen all the time. Most of the times the excess play, either we burn the 125 or I win about $150. It's going to be here. Once in a while, you get that nice spike. We actually had 3 spikes in the last 2 weeks. We had a 68 roller the other day. On Friday, it was 68 roller. I had 52 earlier in the week. So we've had a couple of nice big jumps in the last couple of weeks, but the 125 excess play is meant to catch that, not the paycheck itself. The paycheck itself is going to be a couple of quick rolls early, and hopefully we can survive and play on. So, alrighty, there's that. Let's recap. Let's talk about gambling again. We're going to get into the Gambling 301 series here very soon, and I want to remind you of the things we had talked about way back. Okay, the core principles that I hold dear, and hopefully that you are starting to see me play them out this way in my live rolls, but also hear consistent speech from me when I talk about this stuff, right? Goals being the North Star, right? My goal today in the paycheck, $4,500 buy-in, $900 win goal. That was it. The minute I hit that, I locked that thing up, right? I locked it up. and I went out with a little bit of excess and played around. The strategy that I chose accounts for how I win. And Jacob from Wagering This says this all the time. Your strategy counts for the way that you win and potentially how much you will win. And strategy is nothing more than what you do with the money that you get paid on. Okay. Where you put your bets, your betting pattern, what you're betting on, like the 6 or 8 or the insides or the across or whatever you're doing, and how much you're putting there to start out with. That's kind of your bet sequence or your bet cycle or your play style. That's that. The strategy becomes how often are you collecting and when do you stop collecting? Okay. And as an example, today, my strategy with the 125 across was very simple. 6 and 8, press them both on any hit. If either of them hits, press them both, sister press. If either of them hits again, collect. So it's alternating collect and press. 5 and 9, full press, and then a collect. Full press, and then a collect. We alternated individually those numbers. When they hit, they got pressed. When they hit again, they collected every other time. The 4 and 10 were on that recycling plan. That's the strategy. There's no thought process behind it. That's my collection pattern. That's your strategy. It accounts for the way we want to win. Okay. Do I leave money on the table by doing that? Yeah. Do I not get enough money out there to some people? Yeah. Those bets could have all been table max today, but I like to slow roll and collect versus hammer the gas like some people do. That's your way. That's how you account for your wins. The bankroll takes care of your losses, right? We've got 30K in the bank right now in our virtual 401g account, 30K. That bankroll allows me to buy in for X and I can withstand a few losses. That's the idea. The bankroll that I have lets me withstand some loss so I can get back on the train again if it turns for me. That's why you need bankroll. My mindset, how I connect all that together. You know me, right? I'm super right here, right? My mindset now is a little different than before in terms of I'm not just going to roll out there and unzip it on the first roll. I'm just not doing that. I wanted to, if I was doing this for real, I would go to the casino, I'd put a pass line bet out there and I would throw the dice by myself at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? And just kind of wake up, have my coffee, get a feel for the, what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm ready to go and put the money out there. That's exactly what I'm doing now. So it's a mindset thing. And of course, my discipline is how we execute, right? Do we get out when the getting's good? Do we set a goal, hit the goal, stop playing? Or set a goal, hit the goal, play with a short stack? That's discipline, okay? Connecting all that stuff together, right? The knowledge of the game, the theory, understanding logic, understanding the math, which we're going to get into, how variance works, right? I am right now in a variant, right? We are in a giant variant where I had this massive roll today. I'm winning on the Dallas drawdown every day this week so far. That's not what you expect, right? So we're in that. While we're in it, we're gonna hit it. We're gonna make sure that we're diligent about it. We're not gonna go crazy, but we're gonna be aware of it. Okay. And again, making the informed decisions. You can take all the information, all the math, all the formulas, all the whatever we talk about here on other channels and make your own calls. I'm hoping that you're grown-ups and adults, right? And can take all the information and say, I'm going to ignore that, and that. We're going to do this instead. If that's you, that's awesome. That's awesome. Take your information and do what you want to with it. Can't make you play a certain way I don't want to, right? Can't make you see things the way I see them or the way somebody else sees them. That's up to you to take all the info you have and decide which of it you're going to accept, quote unquote, believe, or put your faith behind and your money behind and play it your way. As long as you have the information, you're free to ignore it or play with it. Okay. I'll try and push you into ways of like, hey, you should not ignore this, but you're always free to do that. And that's, I think, that's the goal here. So anyway, we are going to get next week, start with this nice green screen of math. Start with all the math formulas. I'm not going to bore you. I promise I won't be boring, but we have to talk about some things, and this is going to span games, okay? We're going to talk about how do you calculate the probabilities and the odds. Those are two different things. Two different things. We're going to talk about both of them separately because there's ways to work it out so you understand the probability of rolling a 9 with a set of dice, the probability of hitting a 23 on a roulette table versus the odds of winning that bet. Now, in some games, roulette, where every roll is an independent, complete trial, everything hops, they're going to be the same. In craps, odds are calculated a little bit differently. Okay, because you've got multiple resolutions on a bet. I want to talk about how house edge is calculated, and I don't want to do the full formula with you because it's confusing. But we want to talk about what the house edge actually is, right, and how it affects you. The next day, we'll do a little impact study and say, look, the house edge is whatever percentage that it is on a certain bet. Let's look at how it impacts you, because it's easy for us to say, I don't give a shit about the house edge, right? When I lose a bet, the house edge is 100%, right? If I win a bet and I win enough money, I don't give a crap, right? When I win in $7, the house edge feels like it sucked. Like that took a whole buck away from me, basically, right? When you're winning $3.50 and the house edge was $10, you don't care because your brain starts doing away with the small money. It's the same percentage. And I want to look at with you what the impact of the house edge is on your actual bets over time. Okay. We're going to talk about the law of big numbers and how that works. And in tandem with that, I want to talk about short-term versus long-term, and all these different ways of like hopping into and out of hands, right? There's a couple ways to look at some of this stuff where you say over 10,000 outcomes, this is what you expect to happen. The math will always even it out. It'll always come back to you're going to lose X percent of your money over the course of 10,000, 100,000 rolls. Okay. You may not ever play that long. You may only in your life ever play 100 rolls, or maybe, whatever, 500 rolls, your entire life. That could be a thing. Okay. In that case, you're never hitting law of big numbers averages. You're going to be in a more impactful variant. And what I mean by that is if you see 4 or 5 more of a certain number in a small sample size, that's a big piece of that sample versus over 10,000 rolls, a number being 5 up or down doesn't matter that much. So understanding the long-term and the short-term and long-term effect all this stuff has on your bankroll and on the way you're playing. So I think even though we are living in the long-term, you are playing in the short run. And so I think I know that there's math folks out there that would be like, John, you're conflating two things. And I realize that I probably am, but the reality of it is the 15 rolls that I'm here participate in 10,000 that I've seen my whole life, but the 15 rolls I'm seeing are the 15 rolls I'm seeing. So I want to talk about short-term, long-term variance and trends. I want to get a little bit of a discussion going. I got to rekindle the whole trend thing because again, there's always misunderstanding about that. And I realize that I brought that on myself a little bit, but we're going to talk about trending and we're going to talk about variance, both and streaks and all of that. The difference between the three things is real. And the way that you see it, the way that the same 10 rolls or spins can happen, and 3 people will see that differently. And so I want to make sure we're talking about the truth of what actually has happened and what's going to happen and what's happening in the present. So I want to make sure we hit some of that stuff and put some reality behind it. I do want to talk about advantage play a little bit too, because we have card counters out here, I know, that play some blackjack. The card counters have an edge. They're the only ones that actually have an edge over the casino, potentially, right? And it's a small edge, right? It's not like a 10% edge, but it's a small edge. What does that 1% edge mean to a card counter? If you could get a 1% consistent edge, now the card counting is a consistent edge. The cards will still get you sometimes, but the edge itself is measurable. It's a measurable mathematical edge. In craps, we don't have that. Dice controllers think they have an edge, but they don't. Because they will tell you, I will 7 out like everybody else does. Well, that means you don't have an edge, right? If you have a consistent edge, even if it's 1%, a consistent 1% edge on the outcomes of your dice rolls, what would that mean to you? So I'm going to look at advantage play. And there is advantage plays in poker. There's advantage plays in blackjack. Potentially there's advantage plays in sports betting. What does it mean to play with even the tiniest of advantage? And again, we'll get some math help on that. What does it look like? And what are we chasing? Okay. We'll have a little talk about unit sizing, how to break strategies down to bubble craps or digital levels. And we'll look at how do you calculate what do you need to play a strategy, whatever the game is, whatever the if it's craps, roulette, whatever it is, or slots, how much do you need to play your certain way? So that's how we're going to break the math down. Just going to give you some tooling so that when you're out there making decisions, you've got the ways to make the decisions. And I hope that that's going to be a fun little series for us. It'll take us about a month to get through it, maybe a little less. I got about 15 or 16 talks I want to do on the math, And when we're all done with those math talks, then we're going to jump into Gambling 401, which will be, God forgive me, how to win, right? It's going to be putting all of it together, putting your discipline, putting your mindset, putting the math, putting your money all together and crafting winning ways. And I put that in air quotes because there's no such thing as a consistently winning way to play other than in blackjack. But we're going to look at it anyway. We're going to try and break the casino. We're going to look at the things that are smart moves, ways to capture clusters, way to be smart with your money. That's going to be what happens in the next series down the road. And then who knows? I don't know where the show is going to lead after that, but that's going to be our next phase here. It's going to be math for a couple, 2-3 weeks. And then we'll jump into how to play. And then we're going to just have some fun. But in the meantime, wish me some luck. Let me go to my questions. Wish me some luck here when we get into talking to some of these other guys about joining our channel. I really think it's going to be a cool thing for us. So let me put the glasses on, check the chats here and see if there's anything that's being said. Any questions? And by the way, if you have questions on things that you want me to talk about in terms of math, if you have math questions for me or things, because remember, I've got access to people, right? I'm not a mathematician. I like the math, but I'm not trained in it, right? JB, who's a friend of our show, trained. He's a PhD in math, right? Michael Shackelford's a math guy, right? These guys are both incredibly intelligent people that have all the answers. And when I say dumb shit, they're going to say, no, that was wrong. Here's the actual thing behind it. And then we can talk about, okay, that's maybe the correct math way. But in the moment here, I want to make this decision. What's the impact of that decision? What does the math have to say about what I just did, right? Can I overcome the long-term math with a short-term shift in a strategy or a play? These are the guys that we have access to because they kind of like me a little bit. So hopefully they'll correct me where I'm wrong and answer your questions. But what questions do you have and topics should I cover in the math week? So you can put them right here, or you can email me, john@procrafts.net, or drop in Discord, give me a note in Discord with a DM, and let me know the questions and things you want clarification on. I know that the field players and the math players, sometimes they kind of do this a little bit, right? Necessarily, they're going to be on opposing sides of a lot of things, but ultimately, we're all looking at the same set of data, just through different eyes. And I want to get some conflict in this one. I want to get some meat and potatoes out of this thing. So questions you all have, let me know, please. I'm going to check the chats here. So PCs, AZ Crash says, I cannot use that tossing as my round of 32 set. I'm telling you, man, since I did my entry, my 17 roller, I've had a 53 today. I had a 56 2 weeks ago and a 68 last week, all on camera, live verified. Can I just have the average of those? That would be awesome. My email is john@procraps.net. This is Brian Kist, right? Also hit me up on Discord. I know you're on there too. So Discord me or do that for sure. Mark the Point says auto shufflers kill card counters. Now, here's the thing. I actually asked Michael Shackelford this, which is true, right? The auto shufflers do kill the card counters. It does depend on a couple things. Now, remember this, when you're counting cards with the auto shuffler, it depends on how deep into that shuffle they go. The shufflers are set up to be 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 decks deep, right? When they're dealing the cards out, they may use the little container thing, right? The discard tray to put 1, 2, or 3 decks in before they reshuffle them. If a casino's doing, and some of the smaller ones do this, they put 3 decks in that collection tray or the discard tray. A card counter can use that because what's left in the auto shuffler is meaningful. If it's deal the hand, take the cards, put them back in the shuffler, then you're right. Card counting has 0 impact. But I did ask Shackle for this question about the machines. And I said, look, basic strategy is based on the thickness of the shoe, right? Basic strategy is given a 2, 4, 6, or 8 deck shoe, what is the right play? Basic strategy does change, by the way, based on shoe size. I'm not sure if all of you know that, but if basic strategy changes based on size of shoe, what happens in the auto shuffler? with basic strategy. Does basic strategies go out the window because the cards are never being depleted from the decks? And he said, no, and actually your edge actually goes down a little bit. So where you might have been down, giving up a 0.56% house edge on a regular blackjack game with basic strategy, with the auto shuffler, it's like a 0.4 something. It actually goes down a little bit, which I'm not sure how or why that works, but it does. So the auto shufflers are actually not bad for you if you're playing basic strategy. They're terrible for card counters. And if you're playing basic strategy, like I say, blackjack, like any other game, gets into a good little run, right? You can get where you're winning 3, 4, 5 in a row. Even if you're not counting cards, betting properly on a win streak is an important piece of it because it's the only way to kind of stay ahead of the ugly, right? You can't predict it, obviously, but when you're winning, using some of those winnings to kind of progress those bets up and then coming down after a number, after whatever pattern you're going to follow, that really helps you out. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. We'll get into streaks later on. Let's see. Jen says 4 paycheck shows in a row. Yes, I agree with you. They may go at the same time. They may end up going simultaneously. We may all go at 7 a.m., all 4 games, and maybe like me and blackjack and whatever, all at 7 o'clock. Then you got to go back and watch the other ones. There's no way to do it back to back to back to back, I don't think, especially Pacific time when I start. We'll see. The guys that do the roulette are on the East Coast. He may start his at like 5 in the morning ahead of us, 8 o'clock his time. So we'll see how that works out. Depends on their schedule. But I agree. That's going to be, hey, if you have a popular TV channel, that's the price you pay, having a fine scheduling time, right? When you get to see Jen's, I don't know. She hasn't told me her new Bubble Craps play yet. I've showed you her old one. She hasn't sent me details on her new version yet. So as soon as Jen texts me the new version, we'll do it. I'd love to do it tomorrow. It's Friday Follies. I'll get the bubble out. We'll do it again tomorrow if you want to. So Jen, email me that and we'll take care of it. Darksider, with the difference over time, if you had to get your 2 hits within 3 rolls of the point or regress to mimic, tested what? So let's see. If I had to get my 2 hits within 3 rolls of the point or regress, I have not tested that out. So you're saying only give myself 3 rolls versus making sure I get 2 hits. I have not done the test on that, and I can. That's a simple thing to put in WinCrafts. And again, to recap, what he's saying is this: if I'm going to do my paycheck, which is a Dallas drawdown so far, which is go across big, take a hit, half your bets, take a hit, and be out. That's the Dallas drawdown. I'm going to play that as I am right now for 2 hits no matter what. So I might get a hit, horn number, get a hit. It's 5 rolls. He's saying give yourself 3 rolls only, right? If I get a first hit and a horn number, stop playing. And then come back out on some new trigger. I don't know what the new trigger would be, but I can test that out. Maybe it's the next come out point or something. I can test it out. I say this all the time. It doesn't really matter when you take rolls off. It doesn't matter. Like the bet series you have out there in craps anyway, you're going to lose those bets 1 out of every 6 times they're on. That's the fact of it, right? So if I put them out there and I take 1 hit and I turn them off, and I wait for a 7, and I go back out there after the next 7, I'm live now for my 2nd roll. I get a hit, I turn them off, wait for a 7 to come, go back out again. If I just wait for 7s and only go live after a 7 rolls, or after 2 7s rolls like Charlie does, it doesn't matter. I can do that same maneuver, and the 6th time I've done the maneuver, one of those 6 times I'm going to lose the bets. Right. It's just the way that's the law. That's law of big numbers stuff. That's why we're doing the math series, right? That is definitely law of big numbers thinking, right? You will lose those bets 1 out of every 6 times that they're exposed. Cannot fight that over the course of 10,000 rolls. Now, to Darksider's point, in the middle of a roll, when I've only seen 5 shots so far, right? I can see where you'd say in a total universe of 12 rolls today, did I lose the bet? Well, I lose the bets twice. Maybe, maybe not. You're not big enough sample size to say you're going to lose those bets twice out of 12 rolls. That's where the short-term, long-term thing is going to come into discussion. And I have my thoughts on that, which I just kind of shared with you. I think in the long term, you're going to lose one out of every 6. In the short term, you're not. I don't know what the formula is behind that. I don't know what the math says about that. Besides, I don't know. I got to loop people in who know. who know how to calculate that. They will probably tell me the calculation is the same for the long term. But again, you're banking on the fact that in these 12 rolls, we will see 2 7s. And that really rarely happens where you see exactly what you expect. So, all right, that's it, guys. I'm going to get out. I have to have work. I'm going to lose my voice. I lost my voice already. So I got to teach for 3 hours and my voice is gone. So anyway, wish me luck today. I'm talking to some people about joining the channel. I'd love to see that work out. I got a big day at work, and hopefully we'll hear from Jen and maybe play some bubble craps tomorrow. So all that said, y'all, thanks again for letting me be late today. I hope you enjoyed the Daily Paycheck. And if you want to get involved in that show, jump on in 7 o'clock in the morning Pacific in my garage. Daily Paycheck. It's a crapsy show now, so you get to play along with and not just laugh at me. You get to bet on me too. So all that said, y'all, I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.